Plaintiff Bradley Scherzinger says the defendant has been one of his best friends since 8th grade. But after the defendant won a settlement from a serious car accident, he blew it all on booze and clothes. Bradley is suing because he loaned his generator to the defendant and it was stolen while in his possession. Defendant Frank Hepke says Bradley should be the world's dumbest criminal because after he was handcuffed for his 4th DUI, he ran from the police, then showed up in another court for another case while still wearing handcuffs. Frank admits that Bradley's generator was stolen from his garage, but he refuses to pay because Bradley never paid for the generator.
Start with you.
Frank's been one of my best friends. I've known him since the 8th grade. We've been through a lot together. In fact, he was in a bad car accident several years back, and he had put a trach in his throat. He almost lost his life, and I was there at the hospital with him most of the time. And he got a pretty good settlement out of it, too. I think it was around $250,000, and he blew through it in no time.
How long ago was that?
It was about 2006, I believe, when the accident was. He went through the money in no time. He blew it all in booze and clothes. I mean, the only thing he's got to show for it is the suit he wore here today. So, I mean, and things got bad for him, I'm sure. I mean, just last year he was incarcerated for stealing scrap metal and got caught selling it. But he never done any wrong by me. So when I think he fell on harder times, in October of last year, he called me and asked me to borrow my generator.
All right, before we get into the details, let me hear from you, sir. You want to give me some background?
All righty, well, first off, before pointing any fingers, this guy should be on the world's dumbest criminals.
Wow.
I've got his mugshot here in February.
Let's see it, please.
In February, he was arrested for his 4th DUI. In the process...
4th?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't convicted.
Well, in the process, he ran. He had to go to court on Monday in a different county, and he showed up there with handcuffs on still. I got the article here. It's been nationally known. I mean, I've got an article here from Arizona as well.
Shows up in court in handcuffs.
Absolutely, sir. He's got a drinking problem, and
it's all been taken care of.
Explain this.
I got pulled over, and I had court the next day because of this case, actually. So I knew if I went to jail in that county, I couldn't make it to this court day. I mean, this is how important it is to me. But I mean, I've taken care of all that, Your Honor.
This is just the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Well, it's actually, I mean, it's in the...
You were arrested, handcuffed, and you escaped so that you can be in court, another court, for a different case. I like that about you. You're committed to being in court. This man said, he say, Judge, I gotta get to court. No, you're in front of me. So he escapes so that he can be in court on time. Let me make you say it again. You're arrested, handcuffed, and jailed, and going to court. But because you were so determined to get to your next court date in another court, you escaped with your handcuffs on, so that you can be on time.
I made it there on time.
Didn't you understand that would get you more charges?
This cost me over $10,000.
What kind of criminal you say?
Dumbest, drunkest criminals.
I didn't say that.
And, Your Honor,
he's the world's most honest criminal.
There you go.
I'd put it. Go ahead. You threw me off, right, man. So go ahead. What else you want to tell me?
Your Honor, I know
about
he just said something about me getting $250,000. There was not even close. I got $70,000, and I don't have any money right now. Or actually, I do now because I have a good job.
Good.
But I blew through the money. I did. And
how old were you?
24, 25.
Certainly you did.
But I've learned my lesson. I don't drink.
Good. Glad to hear that. And unless you had some guidance from perhaps a parent or a relative that you listened to, you would run through it. 24-year-old don't know how to manage that amount of money properly. They're not thinking about 5 years from now. Most kids don't think about the next day.
That's right.
I try to plan things with my children. Say, well, 3 days from now, we'll go to dinner at 6 o'clock. They look at me like I'm crazy.
Wait a minute, 1,000 years
We're
from
trying to figure out what we're doing in the next 10 minutes. What you talking about? That's just not how young folks operate. Tell me how he owes you, sir, for the generator.
Well, in October of 2012, the beginning of October, he called me and asked me if he could borrow my generator because his electricity was shut off. And I figured, he said he could get his electricity cut on the next week. So I figured, you know, he'd have it back to me in a week.
Figured, or he told you?
Well, he told me he'd have his electricity cut back on the next week.
And would return it the
Yes,
next
sir.
week?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. And
Absolutely.
when would that have been approximately?
It would have been, I believe, around October 10th.
All right.
So by October 29th, I started just calling him and text messaging him saying, you know, where's my generator? You know, you still got it? And no response from him. I tried texting him and calling him all the way through November, till November 23rd, till he finally responded back to me and told me that it was stolen and he knew who did it. And, you know, at that point I was, well, we got to call the cops. We got to make a police report or whatnot. And the police officers told me that I couldn't personally make the report since it was stolen off his property, that he would have to make the report and talk to the police. He wouldn't talk to the police or anything when they told me that they tried to call him and there was no answer from him or call back from him. So I'd sent him a text message telling him that I was reporting the generator stolen to the police and that they would probably be contacting him about it. But like I said, the police officer told me that they couldn't get a hold of him.
I talked to the police officer.
So I ultimately, you know, told him, if you're not going to pay me, you're not going to replace my generator, I'm going to sue you.
Did he ever agree to replace it or pay you?
After he found out that I was suing him, he told me he would replace it.
Let's hear your side.
You know, it was in my garage. It did get stolen out of my garage, so I figured I could replace, you know, for half of it. When I went back to court, you know, to replace the generator, he had these legal problems, and instead of the generator, he'd rather have cash in his pocket all of a sudden. And that's pretty much why we're here today.
You didn't think it was fair or just for you to pay him in cash?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Well, I didn't gain any cash out of this generator. Yes, I borrowed it. But for one, sir, he won this generator on a $5 raffle ticket. He originally tried
But it was his.
Oh, yeah.
And it had value.
$5.
Go ahead.
All right. Originally, he was trying to sue me for $1,000, and when I went and investigated, the generator was only worth $780.
Okay, and he's only suing for $799.
And this was, you know, he's supposed to be a good friend of mine, so I figured maybe he just went on some hard times, maybe lost his job, or I'm not sure.
No, he lost his generator.
I'm
He
not so
lost his job. He lost $799 fooling with you.
Well,
you wouldn't answer his call. Why didn't you respond to him for over a month?
I mean, no, it wasn't like that. When he had his generator, sir, he came by the house a few times, but since he had no license for some reason, could have been a DUI, I don't know. He came over to pick it up with a moped. More than one occasion.
How big
showed
was
up
the
with a
generator,
moped.
sir?
Oh, it's a big
About
generator.
as big as
Oh,
that
yeah. It was real heavy, too.
podium.
It was real heavy, too.
With handcuffs on, too.
Right. Yes, I was about to totally dispute that and tell you and yell at you and tell you you're lying to me and why are you saying this? But then I got to pick this article up.
Your Honor,
Did you come over there?
No, sir. I'd been over there. I went over there maybe twice, and it was to help him work on. You know, he's always calling me.
Good enough.
We put it in his van. He drove
All
over,
right.
picked it up. He should
And
bring
sir,
it back.
this is what I think you have twisted. Because you think because he won it in a raffle and because he wanted cash, you don't have to pay him. Well, he got $799 from a raffle. Whether he could have taken the generator that next day, sold it, and had cash.
This thing was stolen out of my garage.
But under your supervision.
You're right.
You dodged the man for over a month.
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, he just said he came to my house on his moped a couple times.
You're going to have to pay him, sir. $799. All right? Good luck to you. That's your judgment. I applaud your honesty once again. You believe in showing up in court.
Yes, sir.
That's for sure. Have a good day.
Yeah, I just hope we can be friends again one day. And
Always.
I hope you get help with your drinking.
It's
Hey,
already been squashed and taken care of.